Austin Hill finished 26th at the Coca-Cola 600, 26th out of 39 cars. Flaps down, not on the podium, not in the top 10, not even in the top 20. By every traditional NASCAR measurement, that finish should have been forgettable. A mid-pack result on a Sunday night. The kind of result that gets buried in the post-race coverage. And yet, that 26th place finish at Charlotte Motor Speedway on Sunday night might be the most emotionally significant finishing position in the entire history of the Coca-Cola 600. Because Austin Hill was not just driving any car. He was driving Kyle Busch in our 8 Chevrolet, 3 days after Kyle Busch passed away at 41 years old. And what that means for everyone involved is something that goes way beyond points and positions. And honestly, as a fan watching that, 8 crossed the finish line on Sunday night, you could feel exactly what it meant. This was never about winning. This was never about top fives. This was about one thing and one thing only. The 8 needed to be on the track. The number 8 needed to complete the race. The car that Kyle Busch had been preparing to drive that weekend needed to find a way to finish what he started. And Austin Hill, an Xfinity Series veteran for Richard Childress Racing, was the man tasked with making that happen. So today we are breaking down 2 connected stories. One is the actual race that Austin Hill drove in Kyle Busch's place, and what he had to overcome to bring that car home. The other is what this finish really means for Richard Childress Racing, for the broader NASCAR community, and for the families who were watching this story unfold in real time. And hey, real quick, if you are new here, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe. This channel is just getting started. We are pushing for 1,000 subscribers. And if you are a NASCAR fan who wants honest, respectful coverage of the sport during this difficult time, you are in the right place. Welcome to Freedom Line News. All right, let's get into the first story. Because what Austin Hill went through on Sunday night was one of the most emotionally heavy driving assignments any NASCAR driver has ever taken. Let me walk you through exactly how this all unfolded. Austin Hill is not a regular Cup Series driver. He is a longtime NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series driver for Richard Childress Racing, the second-tier series that used to be called the Xfinity Series. He has been with the RCR organization for years. He has won races at the second-tier level. He is a known and trusted member of the RCR family. When Richard Childress had to make the decision about who would step into the number 8 Chevrolet after Kyle Busch's passing on Thursday, May 21st, Austin Hill was the obvious choice. Not because of his Cup Series resume, but because he was already part of the family. That distinction matters, because this was never going to be a competitive driver swap. This was going to be a tribute drive. And tribute drives need to be done by people who understand the team, who understand the loss, and who can carry the emotional weight of what they are being asked to do. Austin Hill checked all of those boxes. The challenge for Hill on Sunday was enormous. He had limited Cup Series experience compared to the regular drivers in the field. He had to step into a car prepared for one of the most accomplished drivers in NASCAR history. He had to compete against drivers who race at the Cup level every single week. And he had to do all of that while carrying the emotional weight of an entire RCR organization grieving for their teammate. Hill qualified in the field on Saturday. He started the race on Sunday afternoon, and he immediately faced the same challenges every Cup Series driver faces in a 600-mile race at Charlotte. Traffic management, tire wear, pit strategy, constant adjustments as the track transitioned from daylight into nighttime. The same things every driver faces, but with the additional emotional weight of driving Kyle Busch's car. Through the stages of the race, Austin Hill ran where his experience and the equipment took him. He was 30th at the Stage 3 break, which puts you in the bottom portion of the field but still on the lead lap or close to it. He was not competing for stage points. He was not making aggressive moves through the field. He was driving carefully, methodically, doing exactly what his team needed him to do. Stay on the track, stay out of trouble, bring the car home. That is harder than it sounds. The Coca-Cola 600 is the longest race of the NASCAR season. 400 laps scheduled, 600 miles. Drivers regularly talk about how physically and mentally demanding the 600 is. Even the most experienced Cup Series drivers describe the race as a marathon that tests every part of their conditioning. Austin Hill, with his limited Cup Series mileage, had to find a way to last all night long in the number 8, and he did. When the rain came with 27 laps remaining and NASCAR called the race, Austin Hill was scored in 26th place, 2 laps down, but still running, still on track, still competing. The 8 Chevrolet, the car Kyle Busch had been preparing to drive that weekend, completed the most emotionally significant Coca-Cola 600 in modern NASCAR history. It crossed the finish line. The mission was accomplished. But the significance of what Austin Hill did on Sunday goes far beyond just a mid-pack result, because the people who needed to see that no. 8 crossed the finish line were not just NASCAR fans in the grandstands. They were the people closest to Kyle Busch, the people who needed this race to happen in exactly this way. And once you understand who those people were, the 26th place finish takes on a meaning that no other result in NASCAR this season can match. So here is the second story, and this is the one that gives Austin Hill's drive its full context. Sitting in the grandstands at Charlotte Motor Speedway on Sunday night were Samantha Busch, Kyle's wife, Brexton Busch, his son, Lennox Busch, his daughter, Richard Childress, his team owner and the man whose name is on the building, the entire extended Busch family, the crew members who had worked on Kyle's No. 8 Chevy week after week, race after race, season after season. All of them were there. All of them were watching. Think about what they needed to see. They needed to see the number 8 take the green flag. They needed to see Kyle's car on the track one more time. They needed the symbolism of that car competing in the race Kyle had been preparing for all week. And they needed the closure of watching that car cross the finish line at the end of the 600 miles. Austin Hill gave them all of that. Every single piece of it. For Samantha Busch, who lost her husband 3 days before the race, watching the number 8 take the green flag must have simultaneously the hardest and most meaningful moment of the weekend. The car that represented her husband's professional life was on the track. It was racing. It was still part of the field. The world had not stopped. The sport had not stopped. And Kyle's car was still doing what Kyle did every single weekend for over 2 decades. For Brexton Busch, Kyle's son, watching that car had to be its own kind of moment. Brexton is a young racer himself, growing up in the NASCAR world with his father as his hero. To see his dad's car still in the race, still competing, still part of the family of cars on track, was a goodbye that very few young people ever get to experience for a parent in this way. For Richard Childress, watching the number 8 from his perch in the pit box, this was the second time in his life he had to watch one of his cars race after losing the driver who normally piloted it. The first time was 25 years ago, when Kevin Harvick took over Dale Earnhardt's car after the 2001 Daytona 500. 25 years later, Austin Hill was taking over Kyle Busch's car. The pain Richard Childress must have carried that night is something only a handful of people in motorsports history have ever experienced. And for the crew members of the No. 8 team, the men and women who built that car every week, who traveled with Kyle Busch from race to race, who knew him personally as a teammate and a friend, watching Austin Hill bring that car home was the closure their work needed. They had prepared a Cup Series race car for the Coca-Cola 600. That car had been built for Kyle Busch. And now it was their job to make sure that car got to the finish line, no matter who was behind the wheel. Austin Hill helped them complete that job. And here is what makes this story even more meaningful. Because what Austin Hill accomplished on Sunday is something that connects to a specific moment in NASCAR history that very few fans realize. The parallel is uncanny, and it tells you everything about how Richard Childress Racing has handled this kind of loss before. Here is the bigger picture. In February 2001, Dale Earnhardt died on the final lap of the Daytona 500. He drove the number 3 Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. He was the foundation of the organization. He was Richard Childress's closest friend, business partner, and racing teammate. And in the days after his death, Richard Childress had to make a decision. Did he continue to race the number 3? Did he park it? Did he change the number? The answer was clear, even if it was painful. The team would continue to race. They would put a young driver named Kevin Harvick in the seat, and they would change the car number from 3 to 29 to acknowledge the impossibility of replacing Dale Earnhardt. Just 1 week after Dale Earnhardt's death, Kevin Harvick took the green flag at Rockingham in the number 29. He did not win that race, but he competed. He raced, he brought the car home. And just 3 weeks after that, at Atlanta Motor Speedway on March 11, 2001, Kevin Harvick won his 3rd career Cup Series race. The win came less than a month after Dale Earnhardt's death. It came in the same car that had been Dale's, and it became one of the most emotionally powerful victories in NASCAR history. Now, 25 years later, Austin Hill stepped into Kyle Busch's number 8 at Charlotte. The parallel is impossible to miss. The same organization, the same owner, the same kind of impossible assignment. Richard Childress, the man who had watched Kevin Harvick win at Atlanta in 2001, was now watching Austin Hill bring the number 8 home at Charlotte in 2026. Honestly, my take as a fan watching all of this is simple. There is nobody in NASCAR more equipped to handle this kind of moment than Richard Childress. He has done it before. He knows the path through it, even though that path is brutal. He knows the team needs to keep working. He knows the fans need to see the car on track. He knows that Kyle Busch himself, the most competitive driver of his generation, would have wanted that no. 8 in the field on Sunday and would have wanted Austin Hill to bring it home no matter where it finished. And Austin Hill did exactly that. He did not win. He did not run up front. He did not score stage points or playoff points or anything that will show up on traditional NASCAR statistics for years to come. But he did the one thing that mattered. He brought the car home. He completed the race. He honored the man whose car he was driving. And that is more important than any finishing position could ever be. For Austin Hill personally, this assignment is going to define a piece of his career going forward. Drivers who get tapped to step into a fallen teammate's car carry that responsibility for the rest of their lives. Kevin Harvick has spoken many times over the years about what it meant to take over Dale Earnhardt's car. He has described it as both the heaviest weight he ever carried in racing and one of the most meaningful experiences of his entire career. Austin Hill will likely talk about Sunday night for the rest of his life. The phone call from Richard Childress asking him to drive the number 8, the preparation through the week, the conversations with the Busch family, the drive to the racetrack on Sunday, the walk to the car, the pre-race ceremonies, the lap 8 moment of silence in pit road, and the moment when the rain came and NASCAR called the race, and he realized he had completed what he had been asked to do. That kind of weight does not disappear. It becomes part of who a driver is. And Austin Hill carried it on Sunday night with the kind of quiet professionalism that the moment demanded. And here is what makes this finish significant for the next chapter of Richard Childress Racing. Because the number 8 Chevrolet has now completed its first race after Kyle Busch's passing. What happens to that car and to that team going forward is one of the most important storylines in NASCAR for the rest of the 2026 season. So to wrap it all up, Austin Hill, a regular driver in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series for Richard Childress Racing, stepped into Kyle Busch's number 8 Chevrolet for the Coca-Cola 600 on Sunday, May 24th. He finished 26th, 2 laps down, in a rain-shortened race. By traditional racing standards, that finish would normally be unremarkable. But this was never about winning. This was about completing the race, about bringing the number 8 home, about honoring Kyle Busch in the only way the sport knows how to honor its lost heroes, which is by continuing to race. And here is the line I want you to remember. Some finishing positions get remembered for the championship points they earn. Some get remembered for the trophies they bring. And some get remembered because they prove that the work continues, the team endures, and the sport refuses to stop no matter how heavy the loss. Austin Hill's 26th place finish at the Coca-Cola 600 is exactly that kind of finishing position. It will not show up in any record book, but it will be remembered by everyone who knew what it meant. If you are a NASCAR fan, this is the kind of finish you appreciate more the longer you think about it. Not because it was statistically impressive, but because Austin Hill did exactly what he was asked to do. He brought Kyle Busch's car home. He completed the mission. He honored a fallen teammate with the kind of quiet, dignified driving that the moment demanded. That is harder than winning. That is more meaningful than a top 10. And it is exactly what the sport needed from him on Sunday night. Rest in peace, Kyle Busch. Austin Hill brought your car home on Sunday, and the entire NASCAR world saw what that meant. Now I want to hear from you. What did it mean to you to watch the number 8 Chevrolet cross the finish line on Sunday night? Do you think Austin Hill will be remembered as the right choice to step into Kyle Busch's car? And what do you hope happens with the number 8 for the rest of the 2026 season? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I really want to know what you are feeling. And if you are a NASCAR fan who wants honest, respectful coverage of the sport during this difficult time, subscribe to Freedom Line News. The channel is brand new, and we are pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers together as NASCAR fans. If you appreciated this video, hit that like button and go check out my coverage of Daniel Suarez's emotional Coca-Cola 600 win, along with my breakdown of the 95,000 fans who turned Charlotte into a memorial service for Kyle Busch. Both videos are on the channel right now. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.